depending on the film, I think digital has its place. And talking to other exhibitors, even outside of our alliance, I think that is what I'm hearing from other cinemas. So I think we have to embrace it. It's here, and we just have to be strategic about it.
We had a very great experience with platforms for the schools program. We have, as Tuscany region, we support a program that is called Lanterne Magiche, and usually we go to school and we do screenings there. Through our platform, we talked to more than 3,000 students during the spring. Everything was online, and they had the chance to chat with the professor by chat, actually, and went very, very, very well. Probably the idea to use a chat for a young student was easier instead of taking a microphone and speak in front of the audience. And I think that we will keep this hybrid form, so double possibility in person, but of course for the school program online. Also was very, very useful for festivals. Of course, we had to stop the program in October, like everybody, and we were going to host like Festival dei Popoli and many others big events, and so we decided last minute to use just the platform, and it went very, very well. So we are talking about this, of course, with the directors of those festivals, but the idea is to stay on this hybrid form for sure for 2021, and then we'll see.
So actually, Dale, you're not afraid of platforms? Like, what are your experience when your theater reopened? People came back, or did they say, I can watch at home? No.
Well, when we get back in August, we're going to sort of soft launch, start ourselves getting back into the cinema experience. And then we're going to host the New York Film Festival for a couple of screenings as well in September, and then I think we'll just keep going on through there. I mean, I think we were talking as a team about how much pleasure we've had in being here and being back in cinemas, and how excited we are to go back and figure out how do we make we only have 51 seats, so we've got to make sure that people feel safe to walk back into a cinema setting. But no, I'm not afraid of digital, because I think depending on the film, I think digital has its place. And talking to other exhibitors, even outside of our alliance, I think that is what I'm hearing from other cinemas. So I think we have to embrace it. It's here, and we just have to be strategic about it. Camilla and I were speaking at lunch, and we were talking about how one of the successful films that came out of the Italian Commission was a film called Butterfly, and we all have, I believe, screened that film, but it wasn't something that we did in an organized fashion. We organically, for different reasons, screened that film. This is prior to the pandemic. This is prior to being digital. This was completely in the cinema experience. But to your point about, how do you do digital promotion, it is completely reasonable that we could have, in advance of, gotten together and start to think about what films within our programming could we be making a bigger impact with as a group. And I think that that's a really smart way for us to look at this next phase in our transition.
But coming to this, Elizabeth, do you think that your public would be very grateful or something interested knowing that the same film has been shown at the Maysles with a great success, and maybe hot dogs and in your theater and in France? Is it something that do you feel that could add something for your public, like they belong to a larger community? Or wouldn't you communicate on that?
Absolutely. We have tried to do that from the beginning of the cinema before the pandemic. We do a weekend of hot dogs, incidentally, where we share the best of hot dogs, and everybody comes to that and they find out about hot dogs. We do a similar thing with other festivals, and we're quite committed to that. And I think that works, and I think what Dale just said is interesting. And just to say, we reopened on May the 28th. there was a very much larger community because we'd been online for a year. So we had at least across the UK, we had a community audience to watch the online screenings that we organised. And those will continue, and I welcome that. I don't think that's a problem or a challenge, because many of those people said, oh, fantastic, we can go back to the cinema. So I don't think it's an either or. I think that one feeds the other, and that we have to look for the best ways forward to integrate those two things. We've always had Q&As where the person wasn't present. We have a host, and a host may well do a Q&A with someone on the screen. We can do them online. Now we've actually done a live Q&A. So all those variations are possible. It's exciting.